My name is Charles Stennis. I am the Department Commander of the Department of Ohio, American Legion. The Medal of Honor Highway is so important because it reminds us of the sacrifice and service of not only the Medal of Honor winners, but of all active duty, retired, and those veterans that are no longer with us. And I think that's what's so important. It's just another reminder of the sacrifice and service that so few of us have made in our lifetime. The Medal of Honor was actually started in 1862, and it was given at first to Civil War veterans, and then it has cascaded through down the years. So we've got 170 years of Medal of Honor winners throughout our country in different branches of the service. Over 3,000 men and women have won this honor, and that is amazing considering there's 40 million veterans have served throughout that time. So it's literally a relative few. So these are those who have given time and service, the best of the best. And the real ironic thing is there's only two ways that you can receive this honor. Either one, you go through your chain of command to receive this award, or literally an act of Congress has to be passed to ensure that that award is given to those who are deserving of receiving it. So this is very important. And not only does it recognize the present, but it also reaches deep, way back to the Civil War to recognize those who've given the service and sacrifice of the past. It runs through the northern part of our state, which takes us through several different counties of the American Legion. Some of the larger districts, I know the 1st, the 5th, the 13th, and the 9th for sure. And some of our larger cities up here. So I know that not only today will this highway be celebrated, but going forth, they will be celebrated by those districts and counties and posts that highway adheres itself to. So I think this is a great opportunity for not only the American Legion, but all veterans to celebrate the service of those from the past and those of the present. Why now? I think it's very important. Why now? We've been in a conflict now for over 20 years, for a while, and I think it's for especially those veterans who have recently came back to know that somebody still cares, that somebody is still, someone is still recognizing their service, and that's what's important. A lot of times when soldiers come home, they think that nobody cares, nobody wants to be bothered with them or hear their issues or even understand maybe some of their problems getting back into civilian life. But when you see a road dedicated to those who have sacrificed, not only some of them have sacrificed their lives, their time, and their efforts, it's very important to understand that somebody still cares. So that's why this is important. That's why this is an opportunity to do it now.
Good morning, I'm Commander Craig Gallagher, Perrysburg Post 28, next door. And I'm serving as the chaplain this morning, so please uncover for the prayer. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us together today for this important ceremony. Think of those troops that are overseas or even in the U.S. that are deployed now and deployed in the past. And keep them in your hold. Amen. Cover.
Everyone, take your seats, please. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Perrysburg, Ohio. This is our senior center located right next door to our American Legion post here in Perrysburg, which is post number 28. We have several members of our post with us in attendance this morning, others that could not join us but certainly send their regards. I'm Haraz Ganbari. I'm the chairman of the Ohio House Armed Services and Veteran Affairs Committee, a lifetime member of the American Legion, and actually the former commander of our American Legion post right here in Perrysburg. So on behalf of the 98 other colleagues that I serve with in the House, and on behalf of my 33 colleagues that I serve with in the Senate, we want to take a moment simply to say thank you. Thank you to the women and men who for generation after generation have answered our nation's call to service. There are two folks that frankly immediately come to mind being here in Perrysburg, and when I think of the valor and the heroism that goes into the citations of those that have been awarded our nation's highest medal in the military, which is the Medal of Honor, for their heroism and their valor. Just about a year and a half ago, maybe more like, maybe it's about 2 years ago at this point, time flies, I guess, we had Herschel Woody Williams right here in Perrysburg, Ohio. Woody Williams, as many of you may know, received the Medal of Honor for valor that he displayed in World War II. Woody was a veteran and a hometown guy right from West Virginia. And one of the things that he decided that he wanted to dedicate his life to following his service and his continued service, even after receiving the Medal of Honor by President Truman, was he came up with the idea of the Gold Star Family's Memorial Monument. Our post and our community came together and actually raised some funds by many generous donors, and we dedicated our Gold Star Family Memorial Monument just about 3 minutes from here. This was the first Gold Star Family Memorial Monument in Southeast Ohio, or Southeast Michigan rather, or Northwest Ohio. And Woody's vision and concept is that there would be one of these memorials within short driving distance from anyone that wanted to go and pay their respects and remember the service and the sacrifice of those that have passed in their service to our great nation. So we had Woody here in our community, and it was an opportunity for many folks to come out and just meet someone and hear about his story. And it wasn't his story that he wanted to share. He wanted to hear the story and the service and the sacrifice of our Gold Star families. So Woody passed, as some of you may know, just this past August. And Woody was the last surviving Medal of Honor recipient from World War II. And when I was at Woody's funeral, I was humbled to be in the presence of 8 or 9 other Medal of Honor recipients that have received the Medal of Honor from their service in conflicts after World War II. And each one of those men had that medal around their neck, and they understood, and all of them conveyed that it wasn't about them. It was about the women and men to the left and the right. It was about a cause much greater than their own that they served for. And another gentleman that comes to mind this morning is Ed Byers. Ed is a very young guy, like some of our Medal of Honor recipients from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And Ed grew up here just in Tontogany, Ohio, just about 20 minutes from here. Ed grew up on the Byers farm, and he grew up with a vision of wanting to serve his country and a vision of wanting to be a Navy SEAL. He is one that is, again, dedicating his life, continuing to be engaged in the communities, continuing to be a shining example, a mentor, someone that our young kids can look up to. And I know that if Ed was back here with us today in Ohio, I'm certain that he would be joining us at this American Legion post. If you ever had the opportunity to drive down 64, right as you come over the bridge from Waterville, you jaunt down a little bit on the right and you hang a right. That is now the Navy SEAL Medal of Honor Master Chief Ed Byers Highway, which I named from that stretch all the way to the county line. And jokingly, when I saw Ed at the funeral, I told Ed I recently was traveling on his road. I did not encounter any potholes, and he assured me that if I do, we get them filled in. So as you all head on your journey, carrying this flag across our nation and the part in which Ohio is critical to, I just want to take a moment to remind everyone, we have 865,000 veterans that call our great state of Ohio home. And that signifies to me that it is the women and men of Middle America, of communities in which we all live, serve and raise our families, where we work and go to school and go to church or a synagogue or a mosque or whatever our involvement is in our community. It is the women and men from our communities that constantly raise their right hand and take an oath to protect and serve. So God bless each and every one of you on your journey, and thank you for those of you that are helping to escort the Medal of Honor flag. This is going to be a tremendous opportunity to draw an awareness to what service in our military means. Not only for those that have served, but for the generations of young women and men, many of which are yet to be born, that will grow up and learn about what it means to be an American and what it means to serve a cause greater than our own. I would now like to invite my good friend, Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur, a champion for veterans issues. Many of you know the Congresswoman's involvement, not just with the World War II monument in Washington, but even right here in our community, the community-based outpatient clinic over on 1200 South Detroit, working to make sure that our veterans receive the care and the services they need right here in our communities without always having to drive north up to Michigan or be in a long car ride to go get services that we can be treating them right here. So Congresswoman, if you would like to come up, and we look forward to hearing your comments this morning. Thank you all.
Thank you. Good to see you. Yes, yeah, Maddie. Yeah, thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you all for coming today. Thank you, Haraz, for the invitation. Maddie, thank you for being here. We're so glad. I said, I think we may be one of only 2 or 3 women in the room. So thank you so very much for coming. I want to say what an honor it is to be here. This part of Ohio has been added to the 9th Congressional District. And as Haraz mentioned, his service on the Veterans Committee in the Ohio legislature, I am the only Ohioan in the Ohio Congressional Delegation to serve on the Veterans Committee. That has been true for many years. I began my service on that committee many years ago. And as I'm speaking today, I brought with me a coin that I do want back because it's the only one I have like this. This comes from the 20th chairman of our Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley. He presented this to me recently when we were in Poland, and we were actually at a very important ceremony recognizing U.S. pilots that had been shot down during World War II over the city, the capital city of Poland, Warsaw, Poland, in a very difficult conflict. And there is a big wall of remembrance in Warsaw, Poland, of all of those who died in what was called the Warsaw Uprising. And at that point in world history, of course, what was happening was that the government of the Soviet Union was taking the eastern half of Poland, and the Nazi government of Germany was taking the western half of Poland, and the people of Poland were fighting for their liberty, and unfortunately, at that time in history, they were not successful. But many years later, in 1989, because of the important work that our nation did to help build alliances across Europe, what was called the Berlin Wall fell, which was the dividing line between freedom and tyranny. And we then saw many other nations come into the fold of freedom. You, many of those in the audience today, were part of that. And when you go to a place like Warsaw, Poland, and you land at the airport, we went out with the 82nd Airborne on the eastern side of Poland, and when I came out of that one hangar and I looked and I saw Patriot missile batteries protecting the eastern flank of NATO, you get choked up. And I saw the eastern edge of liberty. And I said, thank you to every veteran, thank you to every diplomat, thank you to every American organization that never forgot that liberty is a work in progress, and that all of us in our own way have been a part of that. So I'm going to pass this out as I end my remarks. Maddie, maybe you can help me take it to some of the people. Okay, or Scott, you can help me. Okay. That medal actually belongs to all of you. We have a new unit, of course, the Space Force. This is a new part of our defense of our country, and that goes far into the heavens. And a lot of the cybersecurity and the new technology that we need in order to protect liberty is being set in place so that America and all of our allies can remain free. Today, we honor with this flag Medal of Honor recipients. And what I have found with veterans in my own family and those who give everything for liberty, they're the most humble people. And I had an uncle who fought in the Normandy invasion during World War II. He had injuries, lifelong injuries. He never talked much about it until he was quite elderly, and he brought me a couple items, and he goes, "Marcy, I just want you to have these in case." And now, shortly thereafter, he passed. But he wasn't a braggart, he wasn't, and yet he was a great, great American. I was fortunate in my own family to have uncles like that. And Haraj, you influenced the next generation through your service. Every single person here, you don't realize who you've influenced in your own lifetime. And your values, your ethic of service influences people around you to a level that you cannot imagine. So be proud of your service. For Medal of Honor recipients who fall on grenades to save their comrades, it is unthinkable that a human being is capable of that. And yet we know in our lifetimes, those have given their everything for others, for the men and women in their unit, for the cause of liberty. I just wanted to remember, if I could, 2 Medal of Honor recipients who date back to the war in Vietnam. One is Major Bruce Crandall, and another is Captain Ed Freeman. At that point in our history, America was involved in a war that Congress had not voted on. It had voted to provide weapons to the military and military support. But the Congress in those days, back in the 1960s and 70s, did not have the courage to declare war. And what happened to our country at that time, it became very divided because the public was unclear on the goal. They were unclear on why their family members were being drafted and sent to war. It was very harmful to our country domestically, but our soldiers fought. And these 2 men that I mentioned who were Medal of Honor recipients were part of the first air cavalry team that our nation had ever used, air cav, in battle. And at the Battle of Ladrang Valley, and there's a movie about this particular battle called We Were Soldiers. Don't watch it at night. If you watch it on a Saturday afternoon. And you will get a sense of what those soldiers faced. Which of us could maintain our presence, maintain our focus, maintain our being as they were sent into a battle where the intelligence was so poor that they lost the majority of soldiers in their units. And yet these 2 air cav specialists, for 14 hours, flew their planes in and out of a theater where it was impossible to survive, but they did it. And one of those they evacuated at the end, it was the most costly battle in the Vietnam War. They rescued a man named John Eade. John Eade was sergeant of his unit. He was born in East Toledo, in South Toledo. He was one of the greatest soldiers I've ever met. We put him to rest this year, and what he did with his colleagues, and he was the sergeant in his unit, he was the last man standing. He's a recipient of the 2 Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star. But they withheld their location. They stood their ground and never yielded to the last man. What courage. What courage. If you go to Vietnam today, some of our former veterans like Tom Sam, who lived in Toledo and worked at the GM Hydromatic facility, renamed the propulsion facility, began building schools in Vietnam. They weren't bitter. no matter what happened, they kept trying to build a better world. I can't tell you how much in awe I am of the people that I've been privileged to represent who are veterans of this country. So for the Medal of Honor flag to come through Perrysburg today, for each of you to be here when you don't have to be on a sunny day, to form this ceremony, you remind us of who we are as Americans and who have come before us that gave everything to us. We have to honor it. We as a country have to be united. We have to be civil. We have to honor them by the way that we behave and by the way that we serve our country. Thank you very much for being here this morning. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for what you have given and you give every day to our country. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you.
Department Commander Stebbins will be the next speaker.
Good morning. Good morning. First of all, I'd like to give a round of applause for Post 28. Let's give them a round of applause for doing such a great job this morning. I am very happy to be here, and even more ecstatic is that Route 20, which is the Medal of Honor Highway, gets to run through my hometown, which is awesome, Euclid, Ohio, which is awesome. But I just want to say a couple of things. First, again, I'm extremely ecstatic to be here. But this is, not only is that I'm happy to be here, but it's even more important that this is another reminder of service to the community, the state, and the nation. Because the Medal of Honor goes back as far as 1868, but it also exists right now. And it's so important. I get to talk with a lot of young veterans that come back who want to get away from their service and then want to not remember what they've done or not remember where they served. But this is a reminder to them that your service was important. It was important back in 1862, and it's important right now in 2022. It's important. It's very important. Now, let's take one step further. Why is this highway so important? And by nature, my occupation is primarily as an accountant, and I specialize in embezzling. But the important thing about that is I look for ways how money is used and how it is manipulated, those sorts of things. And one person I've found very interesting who uses and manipulates money is Warren Buffett. Who uses and manipulates money. And I was reading an article the other day, and I was reading it, and it was like, how is this guy just making money hand over foot, and he's a billionaire 3 and 4 and 5 times over. What he does is, there's two ways of investing quick and investing for the long term. He does a little bit of both. He'll invest in an organization and see it rise, and then he may pull his money out or leave it in. But another thing he does is he looks for opportunities where things will yield him a profit very quickly. Very quickly. This highway is something that will yield what I believe recognition, an ability to learn, and also an ability to honor those very quickly, very quickly. When little Susie steps out of a coffee shop and sees that Medal of Honor sign, she'll understand very quickly. When little Johnny sees that sign going past the baseball field, he'll recognize that very quickly. When a veteran who has come back home and is struggling and doesn't understand why certain things are going on in his life, he can look at that sign very quickly. Very quickly. We honor so many of our servicemen and women by putting different signs on different highways, making sure that we remember them. It reminds me of when the Israelites came out of came out of Egypt, one of the first things they did is they would make small altars across every single milestone that they would come. So I think this is even more important, that it not only goes in one part of the state, or it's not designated in one area over here, but it crosses the entire northern part of our state, that each and every single county, hamlet, village, whatever, gets an opportunity to be recognized within this highway. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a monumental day. This is very important, not only as us Legionnaires and other service organizations get to be a part of this, but I hope that my great-grandchildren will be at a ceremony that recognizes this highway. I want to thank you again for allowing me to speak, and you all have a great rest of your day, because I know we'll be traveling the rest of the day. Thank you.
I'm State Senator Teresa Gavarone, and I represent the 2nd Senate District, which includes beautiful Perrysburg. It was an honor to sponsor legislation to create the Medal of Honor Highway in Ohio. We have a Medal of Honor recipient from right here in Wood County. Master Chief Edward Byers Jr. is originally from Grand Rapids. While serving in Operation Enduring Freedom, Navy SEAL Edward Byers Jr. was on a mission to rescue an American doctor. During that mission, he jumped on the doctor to shield him from enemy gunfire, risking his own life, but saving that doctor's life. This highway will serve as a permanent reminder of the bravery and the service and sacrifice of our military. Thank you for attending today and for your service to our country. We are eternally grateful.
Detail. Ready. Pose. Our nation's history has been defined by the sacrifice of the men and women of the armed forces. Today, we recognize their distinguished service, their dedication, and their sacrifice. Having paid the ultimate price to defend the ideals of this great nation, they exemplify the noble value of placing country before self. Since the beginning of the War of Independence in 1775, through the present global war on terror, over 1,700,000 of our nation's finest men and women have gave their lives in service to this great nation. So let us now pause for a moment of silence to honor, to remember, and to pay tribute to those brave individuals who have fought and fell in battle in defense of our liberties. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise? Present arms. Order down. Arms. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. March out. Ready. Post.
I'll act as chaplain again. The closing prayer, please uncover. Lord, as we said at the beginning, think of all of our troops here and now and past, and hold them in your arms, and hope we can come to a better peace in this world. All right. Cover.
Hey, Euclid, Ohio. Yes. Thank you. Your remarks were excellent.
Maddie, right there. You didn't have much of a last one. I meant you live in it, but it's in the chair.
On behalf of American Legion Outpost 151, we welcome all of you here this evening. We're here with a special occasion, and I tell you, I'm thrilled to death. We have a special gentleman in our audience tonight. Happens to be our commander of the state of Ohio, American Legion, and I'm going to ask him to come forward, and he's got a little spiel he wants to give us. Mr. Charles Stennis.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you. Thank you. Please don't stop clapping. Please.
Now, as long as they got the tomatoes ready.
Yes. No, it's been a while since I have been to Post 151, and one of my fondest memories of being here is having a conversation with that good gentleman, Mr. Jim Winslow. He was a great Legionnaire, a great friend. He constantly got on me for the littlest things, but when I think of this post, I think of him. I know he's gone, but he's still in the hearts and minds of everyone, not only here at this post, but he's always in my heart also. Again, one of the elder statesmen of the American Legion. I just cannot come and visit this post without mentioning the great friend in which he was. Now, that being said, the reason why we actually drove from Perrysburg, Ohio this morning to Conneaut today is to celebrate Route 20 being named the Medal of Honor Highway, which is outstanding. To win the Medal of Honor, there's two ways that you get the Medal of Honor. One, you get nominated and it goes up the chain of command, or two, by an act of Congress, literally. An act of Congress has to be passed. In Ohio, we've had 331 men and women selected for the Medal of Honor. Overall, there's 3,331 members of the armed forces that have been selected for that honor. So, if you take a look and think, over the years, there have been 40 million servicemen in the United States, but only 3,000 of them have actually won this honor. Only 3,000. So this is big. This is huge. And for that reason, we decided as the American Legion to participate in this, which is, again, for us, it's a huge thing. So we took the trip today from Perrysburg all the way to Conneaut. So we will be passing along this flag. We'll be passing along to our good friends in New York. And they too, as Route 20 continues to be named the Medal of Honor Highway. It actually did take a passage in the Ohio State to get that done. But there's a couple other things that are important about this highway being named. There will be signs all along Route 20 that will state the Medal of Honor Highway. Now we already do it for specific safety forces and specific soldiers that were in one era or another. But what this highway does, it connects the east side with the west side. And that's what's important. It makes us one. Makes us one soldier. It makes us one unit. It makes us one company. So when we can look at that sign as we pass through Lakewood, we can look at that sign as we pass through Perrysburg. We can look at that sign as we pass through Belleville and know that others have gone on before us, and some of them are still here, that made that ultimate sacrifice. Though there actually still is one Ohio Medal of Honor winner who in Afghanistan dived on top of a doctor, got shot twice, and got nominated for that award. We invited him, he couldn't be here, but it still makes a point that 331 men and women made the ultimate sacrifice. And this award stems back from 1862 to 2022. So we have 170 years going back to the Civil War of men and women committing themselves and giving a valiant effort for each and every single thing that we represent, what we are part of. So on this day, as we eat this delicious meal, this is what that represents. Unity, focus, and togetherness. That's a big part of whatever unit that you're in, whether it be at your house, whether it be on the street, whether it's at the post. And looking at that Medal of Honor sign as we travel all through the different parts of Ohio that Route 20 hits, that's an important point. And I want to thank you all for being here today to celebrate, because this is not a sad occasion, to celebrate the fact that that highway is being named, and just the fact that that highway will run through the city of Conneaut. That's something that you all should be very proud of. And I expect to see a wreath hanging somewhere around there close to it stating that fact. So again, I want to thank you all for being here today. I want to thank, this post looks fantastic. I can't, I remember when this was a social room. That also tells my age a little bit too. I remember when this was a social room. But your area out there, it looks fantastic. You guys did a wonderful job. Give yourselves a round of applause, please. All right, so I'm going to step away now because, as my wife says often, she's tired of hearing the sound of my voice. But again, thank you again. We appreciate this fine meal that we're getting ready to have. And again, I just want to thank you. Thank you.
My name's Steve Maswick. I'm from Post 685 in Streetsboro, but I do a lot of work with the National out of Indianapolis, Indiana. And to be a Medal of Honor winner, you gotta be tough. You gotta have all the right tools. I know there's a lot of guys in here who was in the service and the women, and we always met that one person who went beyond and above. Well, I can't think of a better place for the highway with all these brave people who are tough to be in Conneaut, because you got to be tough to live in Conneaut. This is no place for the weak of heart. This has got to be the snow capital of the state of Ohio. So as we pass the torch between state of Ohio and Pennsylvania, they have a lot to look up to when they come to Conneaut. Passing here, I'm going to say thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you for inviting me, J.D. Robinson, our department adjutant. Thank you for getting this done. Thank you for the state of Ohio who put the resolution together to make this thing happen today. Commander, thank you. And my wife, Cindy. We're going to drive home to Streetsboro, so I just want to introduce her. Cindy's the department president for the state of Ohio. Very good. JD, have you got something for us? I turn this back to the Commander, did you have got something to close with before I leave?
Sure.
Scored
7 years ago.
There we go. We got an officer in the making there.
I know it. That's future 9th District Commander material right there.
There you go.
Nice try, though. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, thank you. Again, on behalf of Calpost 151, we appreciate everybody that came out here today, especially sticking around even though Ohio State's still playing out there on the TV screen. Hopefully they're beating Maryland. But anyways, hey, don't go there, Wayne. I saw that. Well, we appreciate Charles and what he's gone through, and again, becoming our commander here for the state. And we're looking forward to him actually serving in 2023, but we got him in 2022, so that's even better. So what a way to recognize him and a fine job that he does in the state of Ohio. And again, I thank you. Eat hearty, enjoy it. God bless, and be safe going home. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a man of few words.